Hello and welcome to this episode of Realms Edge Gaming. What I thought we could do today is have a look at the image that was released. It was quite a while ago and it was kind of talking about the start of the new season of Warhammer Underworlds, the Direchasm one. It was released on the 16th of July and it was this picture here. And what I thought we could do was have a look at the different warbands that we know are being released and the potential ones that are coming up. And think about what parts of the image, because it's kind of been amalgamated, loads of different warbands, like features of them have been kind of all put together as one, and we thought we could go through them, unpick them, and talk about what we think we can see here. So on the 16th of July, it said, last but not least, the end of this year, this was the roadmap for 2020, and we'll start to release Warhammer Underworld Season 4. It says, we can't tell you much, this was a while ago now, but we can show you this cracking bit of artwork. And to be honest, this is the thing that really caught my attention and made me think how much kind of information is actually hidden in these pictures. So I've done a bit of research, had a bit of a think, and I thought we could talk through that today. So just based on what we know that we're on the 4th season currently of Warhammer Underworlds. We had Shadespire, where we had 8 warbands released. We had then Night Vault as it entered its second series, again, 8 warbands released. Then we went on to the 3rd season with Beastgrave, again, 8 warbands, but there were an additional 2 in the Champions of Dreadfane expansion. So I suppose we can kind of hypothesize that the Direchasm set would have 8 warbands as well, but I think potentially we might see 1 or 2 more, like with the expansion of the Champions of Dreadfane. But we'll take a look at the picture in more detail. So recently we've just had the starter set released, and this gave us 2 out of the 8 warbands which we kind of do know about. So in the set we got Mayari's Purifiers and the Dread Pageant. So taking a look at the image that was released, it was kind of the main Lumineth leader of the warband. I think it's the leader anyway. Where I was trying to think, what kind of part of the picture is reminiscent of the kind of iconography or the image of the model. And I might be wrong, but I think it's potentially this part here. I have inverted the image, but you can see here that there is a slight curvature on the staff. Also, if I was to keep the image this way around as it was presented, if you look at the hair there, like where there's the top knot, there is kind of like a gold, I suppose like a crescent moon almost, and on the hat detail there we can see that kind of golden crescent moon being shown there, kind of reminiscent of that, I suppose. I must admit, when I first saw this picture before we knew about some of the warbands, you have to remember that this was back in July the 16th when we were first shown it. I thought straight away Gloomspite Gits. It's the bad moon, it's going to be something to do with that. But now that we've seen some of the warbands, I think that this part of the image could be to do with the Lumineth, to do with those points that I've mentioned. You might think it's something different. I'll be honest, I did look at some of the symbols around the outside, but couldn't find anything that really linked them to the Lumineth. I went through my battle tome, I went through the different resources on the internet, but couldn't really find anything that gave kind of concrete evidence that would suggest it was them. So moving on to the next one, the Dread Pageant. I must admit, I struggled with this one. You might be able to help me out with this one. I tried to find something on the warband that kind of linked to the image here, and the only thing, and I did feel this was a really big reach, was it the Slangor here? His kind of horns made me think it could have been that part of them, but again, I wasn't overly confident to do with that. The other part of it was this, and again I'm going to kind of talk more about it when we get to the Reavers for the Slaves to Darkness warband. It's that if you look at this kind of circular thing here with the spikes, if you count this as one, so we've got 1, then here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like the bigger spikes. I suppose you could say that it looks like the 8-pointed Star of Chaos. We know that Slaanesh is one of the Chaos gods. Potentially, it could have been that, I suppose. But again, you guys might have some kind of more information or kind of more ideas based upon that as to what you think it could be. So those were the two warbands that were released within the starter set. Then recently I did a video on it. We were given the roadmap to 2021. So we've had 2 warbands released to us. Then we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And that takes us up to June. Now that's kind of why I thought that maybe like the Beastgrave expansion, maybe we would see 8 and then maybe an additional couple of warbands, because as you'll see when I kind of give my reasoning as to the warbands that I think kind of link up with that image, I still think there are a couple of things that are unexplained, but we'll talk more about that later on. So the next one is January's release, and it is Kagura's Ravagers. And again, it was the kind of same reasoning between the Slaaneshi expansion one with the 8-pointed Star of Chaos. I couldn't see anything kind of explicitly linked to Kagura's Ravagers, not Reavers. Ravagers within the iconography there. You can see the staff there has got the 8-pointed star. Perhaps it's that, but maybe you guys spotted something a little bit different. Moving swiftly onwards to the Starblood Stalkers. Just off the bat, I cannot wait for this warband to be released. I've mentioned in loads of my videos before, I can't wait for anything Seraphon to be updated. So this was kind of the outside part of the circle. It just reminded me of, here you can see it in a bit more detail, of the Seraphon. Looking here at the engines of the gods, you can see this kind of Aztec. It has got kind of some points as well. Aztec almost detailing around the outside. Did seem reminiscent of that. And we know that the Seraphon have got like a kind of Aztec aesthetic to them, you know, leaning back to the Astrolith bearer, and those kind of points. It also does seem to be kind of made out of a kind of burnished gold as well, a dull gold, again fitting of the Seraphon. So we've kind of touched on the Luminath, we've touched on Slaanesh, Slaves to Darkness, and now the Seraphon. So let's go back to our roadmap. We've got our next one, which I cannot wait to be released back, coming up in March. Just wanted to kind of point out here as well with the colours. Again, might be thinking too deeply about this, but with black, Slaves to Darkness, kind of really big similarities with the colour. We've kind of got this aquamarine colour, kind of lizard scale, Seraphon, red. Well, I'm thinking blood, and the general consensus seems to be leaning towards the kind of vampiric factions there. I'm still hoping for vampire pirates, but let's just take a look at what I thought. So here we've got potentially the new faction. It did seem as though it could be the zombie dragon here. I've done a bit of a close up of the face there. It just seems to kind of have a similar aesthetic. Perhaps it could be something totally different. I'm not entirely sure. It's just trying to link it to the symbol, but I guess with that one, time will tell. For the Uruk War Clans, I was looking here at the blue stripe. Quite a lot of the images of the Savage Orcs here, you can see they've kind of got war paint, which is blue, and it kind of goes down there along the chin. And you can see a kind of bone going through there, so that's what made me think of them. And you've got the green background too. And then for the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, looking around the outside of that circle, we can see that kind of symbol there. I know it's got that kind of like arrow coming off it, but it did seem, very similar to this. It even has the same number of segments, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe that's kind of solidified grave sand there, and we've got the kind of, it looks like a rib cage almost, again befitting of the bones. We've got here the rumour engine with that gem there. Though, I have to be honest, this one only has got 6 segments, but perhaps, there could be something there signifying a bit more towards the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Then towards the Ideneth Deepkin. So what made me think of this more than anything, again, couldn't really find much to kind of link the warband with this, but, perhaps when it's released, it could be something, that is there. We just can't really notice that yet, but I thought that symbol, what I did was I snipped the standard bearer banner there and then inverted it, so I had it twice, kind of like a mirror image, and it did remind me of that shape. And again, you'd think with Ideneth, pale blue, the sea, could be something there. So what factions are these parts from? And it was this that kind of made me really think about it. The thing with like many eyes, I think this, looking at the one of the cards from the Warhammer Underworld set, you can see those kind of eyes there, and it looks like it could be a nod towards the Silent People. Now, we don't know. This could perhaps become a faction later on down the line, or it could just be part of the lore, and it's there because it is talking about the lore, the general discussion of Direchasm as it reaches this new season, and that is part of it with the Silent People. Who knows? We might start to see them as a playable faction further down the line. It would certainly be interesting to see that. And there was a rumour engine a while ago, and it was kind of like an egg that had cracked open, and there was some kind of insect coming out of it. We know that the Silent People are kind of like an insectoid race, kind of bug race. Now, on the rumour engine, it did make me think of the kind of Vespid Stingwings, thinking back to the Tau from 40,000, but who knows, it could be something a little bit further down the line. Now, these were the parts that I did not know what they were. So we've got here the kind of antlers almost. It looked wooden. I did think Sylvaneth straight away, or Kanothi, something like that, who I would love to see back in Direchasm. But I just don't know. And as I said, we've kind of already had those 8 warbands that we've spoken about, and that's kind of what made me think, will we see some more warbands further down the line? Perhaps this will be part of one of the factions that's yet to be released, but I can't really see it fitting in with like Ideneth, Ossiarch Bone Reapers, don't think so. Not even like Seraphon. Who knows, we'll have to wait and see. Then we've got down here these kind of like blue, almost like leather detailing with the spikes on the bottom. Again, not sure what faction that could belong to, if any. It looks too kind of neat to be Destruction. Perhaps something that we've not seen yet. Again, we've got those kind of detailing there. We said that could be perhaps the Silent People, and then there's those kind of metal plates either side there. And then finally the horns. I think the kind of crest down the middle could be Skink from the Seraphon, but the horns really, I wasn't sure because it looks like it is one kit. I thought maybe we could see that it might be a Seraphon kind of beast. I thought, Beasts of Chaos. It could be, that Slangor, but the horns did seem different. I just don't know. I kind of looked here at the Warp Seer from the Skaven, who also has these kind of really kind of avant-garde horn detailing on his head. But this is kind of almost too wild to be that. And I don't think we'll see Skaven in Direchasm, if I'm honest. We have had, Skaven released as a warband, and I think we'll see something further down the line for them, but just not in this season at the moment. So, if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. If you could drop a comment below telling me what you think. Was there a warband that you think I've not covered, or one that you think is hidden in the image? Or do you agree with what we're kind of hypothesizing here? I'd love to hear your comments and opinions too. So we'll hopefully speak soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.